What's going on, everybody? Another week, another show. Welcome to Carbonite Bounty BS with me and the nerds here. Interesting week for us this week, guys. So I hope everybody's excited as we've jumped on the wave of that new kind of Star Wars series, Star Wars Visions. So happy everybody's here with us. How you guys doing this week?
Good.
Hey, great, man,
Excellent.
great.
Good, good. But before we delve into this and delve into some, I guess, Star Wars news updates, DP, why don't you let everybody know where to find us at?
Nerdcyclopedia.com. People, make sure that you're going to that site, clicking on all our links to follow. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are all there. Whenever they are up and running, because I heard they were down for a minute there. But
What a coincidence! What a coincidence! That's a strange coincidence.
make sure you go to our site. Just clicking on all our links at Nerdcyclopedia on or your favorite social media platform there. Also, if you are on YouTube and also on Facebook, make sure that you are following us, clicking on that like button, clicking on that subscribe button. So anytime, and also that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. As what Darth Vader says. Also, make sure that you guys are leaving us some, feedback at nerds and nerdcyclopedia.com. Join our Facebook group, Carbonate Bounty BS. We are on there talking about some different Star Wars stuff, talking about Visions, of course, and basically talking about anything Star Wars and leaving some good feedback and, getting some good feedback.
Thanks again. And as we dive into this show, I mean, what a unique perspective, I guess we'll say, on Star Wars, to where you really get kind of our first, I guess, introduction into the manga scene, if you will. Kind of, for those who aren't aware, Japanese kind of sketch art, very popular. Comic book style art. It's been kind of translated into a series for us to go over, and a very unique aspect for those who didn't know or newer fans. I mean, this kind of takes it back to more of his Japanese influence, whether it be the Shaolin era, Kabuki era, um, any kind of when you look into your warriors, your Ronin type characters. I guess my early thoughts into this were when I first seen that first episode. Kind of had my feel, if you guys aren't aware. I mean, and for a lot of anime fans, kind of like the art was kind of like it's the North Star kind of.
Kenshiro.
It started kind of rough into the Fist of the North Star look as it combined. It as it moved on, it kind of got to more of a modern kind of anime feel. But I really liked that first kind of intro episode. It looked kind of rough looking, kind of sketchy. Didn't know what you were going to get, but I understood the influence and appreciate it. Kind of like the Ronin saber, if you will, and things of that. But before we dive into that, guys, just initial thoughts all around the panel here. We'll start with DP.
You were talking about the first episode. It was called The Duel, so it had that old style, film look, with like different, you had that grainy film black and white look, but with the Star Wars influence and stuff on that. It even started off with like the Japanese title and everything really big that filled up the screen and stuff, like you were seeing like old like 1940s 50s movie. It was great. I thought I particularly liked that episode. It reminded me, I don't know if you guys ever seen the Batman Ninja. It had a heavy influence of Batman Ninja. It was all color, but the influence it was all Japanese animated, just like how this particular episode was. And just imagine Batman fighting a bunch of different samurai warriors and stuff. They had to go back in the past to fight Gorilla Grodd and stuff. This sort of reminded me of that. So that was one of my favorites. The twins episode we was talking about off mic. That was really good. How they flipped that. So I like that. I sort of like the last episode too. When they sort of like just took it back and really got into like the the cultural nature of Japanese culture mixed with like just keeping it simple with like lightsaber duels and everything. A lot of duels between these episodes were great. The last episode really got me as far as like the way that the duels were, as far as that. Overall, it was some hits, it was some misses. I didn't really take towards it was a couple in the middle that I didn't really take as far as like the animation style, where it was a little bit too kiddish and everything. But for the most part, everything was good to me.
Hitch, what about you, man?
Yeah, so I really dug how there were different episodes that had different influences, different houses of anime or production styles. I really dug the duel a lot. The duel was my favorite for sure. And I love how, Star Wars borrows a lot from Akira Kurosawa in Japanese cinematic tradition. And I think, what is it? The Hidden Fortress is the one that Star Wars is almost like a really close copy of. It's really close.
Right.
And Jedi and Samurai are very similar. So this sort of spin on Star Wars feels very natural. These roaming swordsmen, the Ronin of the duel, the samurai coming to town, the banditry. This is all stuff that's tropes of these ninja stories.
Yeah,
like Ninja Scroll, right? This there was a wide variety of flavors to this, which is good because I thought it was a nice sampling of what could be done. I thought the really effective ones were the ones that did the best with the lightsaber dueling. The best sword fighting was really what carried this stuff. And I think it's, again, because of that natural cultural translation. We talked a couple weeks ago, I think, about how I viewed Kylo Ren's lightsaber as a legitimate, like all these different ways to show a lightsaber are legitimate. And I thought Visions was a really great way to showcase that. They were, there were sometimes they had sheaths, sometimes they didn't. It was all stylistic, and it kind of made you think the lightsabers are sort of like Batman's suit, right? He has 100 million of them, and they're all different, and they all are exactly as equal, right?
And that's how really a lightsaber should look, though. I think it got too rigid as we get into the traditional Star Wars continuum. Yeah, I like that, like you're saying.
But even if you take a look at, like, let's say you take a look at the Jedi Temple era of Jedi, right before the prequel trilogy, it would make sense that they were becoming, the cookie cutter, right? There wasn't any personality; it was just very institutional. So that's really interesting. I thought the episode where the lightsaber sort of expressed your connection with the Force, and the lightsaber would change color if you were, and like show how whether you were good or evil, and they all lit up the red lightsabers. I thought that was an awesome twist. I thought that was cool. Really great storytelling mechanisms. I'm a fan. I like anime, although I don't, I'm not a collector or anything like that. So I don't know that I have like an encyclopedic knowledge of it. But I watch a lot of like Dragon Ball Z and Trigun and, Cowboy Bebop and all that other stuff. And I think that this was a really great, this is a really neat interpretation of Star Wars. And I think they should definitely keep making these if they're cool, man. They should do another season of these, right? There's some of these stories I'd watch a part 2 on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked the way it was like different stories, but the same, just a little bit different spin on things. The anime, I think, really drove the story a little bit, and it made it very gritty. And ultimately, is where Star Wars started. Its roots are broken, gritty. We open with Star Wars, A New Hope, as the rebellion is trashed. They have nothing, so they're rebuilding things, and you got the Empire that's very clean and polished. And you see a lot of that in this animation, where you have the good guys are sort of robes, and they're pulling stuff together, and they're alone. They're solitude, and what some of our favorite characters work alone, right? Boba Fett works alone. Mando works alone, and the Ronin are very much like that. So I think they're taking tidbits of the new stuff that we're enjoying and mixing it with the old stuff, plus throwing in like spins on things, like goofy stuff, like that one character is like got this big puffy beard, and he's kind of very exaggerated old man like type of thing. That's what they like to do. That's what the Japanation does. It exaggerates things, makes it bigger than it really is to express a point through a cartoon that might be only 5 or 6 minutes, and geared toward adults, because that's what Magna it was. They're cartoons, but they were for adults, not kids. So they got into a lot of like adult themed topics and a lot of talking. A lot of meetings. They'd have meetings and then discussions and things. So this is a great vehicle, and I, like Hitch said, I hope they do more. I don't know about really expanding on any of them as individual stories, like part 2s or part 3s, but they could keep taking little vignettes and just take little pieces of this and that and smash them together. That is and I like what you said, T-Mitch, about Fist of the North Star. That was one of my favorite. In fact, in a box behind me, I have all 13 volumes on VHS. Original, and I can watch from beginning to end the whole Kenshiro story. I love the timer, right? The countdown timer after he punches the guy. You have 10 seconds to live, and he's like, "What?" And the timer starts, and like blood flies out of the top of his head. It's great stuff.
Definitely. I mean, and like we said, you can see definitely the influence they went with for the different eras. Like I said, the duel started pretty rough. If you looked at it, I guess, as far as to kind of give it an idea, it probably was more Cowboy Bebop-ish as far as the animation. The next probably I'd say 2, which were the Tatooine Rhapsody and the Twins. That was more of your modern generation. I was thinking that's more towards that. If you watch, maybe more towards a lot. The second 2 were My Hero Academia, kind of more your modern, kind of round faced. You go to the Ninth Jedi, and then that other episode, I believe, was more, I would say, it looked like Naruto, especially the character, the female character, the daughter of the lightsaber smith. That was more of your, definitely like your Naruto type art. She actually looked like the female character from Naruto, so it was really interesting. And then you get towards your back end to where it looked just like basically modern anime. The elder one, as we discussed with the old man, kind of reminded me of one of my favorite shows, Outlaw Star. So it was kind of more your traditional kind of, or even even the newer stuff, the Cowboy Bebop. Was really funny when we talk about manga and whatnot. I was hoping to get a more of a One Piece type episode. They didn't really go into that type of animation yet. Don't know if that's something they may be looking to do in the future, but I do like how they've hit kind of these different cultures, these different studios, different takes even. And we didn't get a Kamehameha blast like we got on Shang-Chi, so a little different though. Wish we had an energy blast, I guess. I was looking for that because that's usually some kind of Japanese ode. Even with using the force powers, I was hoping they use some kind of visible force, but I'm sure they'll have something for season 2. I imagine they will do it again. The short stories, it was pretty much a hit. From what I read online, what I see. I don't know, and it'll be interesting to see. I didn't do too much research on this on the back end yet. How obviously Japanese culture views it, Asian culture as a whole. Like I said, I liked it, but I guess they would be the real true bearers if it was, something that would be pretty cool to continue with, or if they even like the concept of.
I was hearing some chatter online, and it's to each his own. You don't have to like everything that comes out, but to complain about something is just I don't know. But I mean, I was just hearing some chatter that some Star Wars fans didn't like this because it wasn't directly canon or anything like that. It's like, what does any of this matter? Why would I be watching this?
Yeah, they probably loved The Last Jedi. Or The Force Awakens. I mean, they probably love that.
Yeah.
Wow, these are great movies, but I don't like these cartoons.
Yeah. I mean, this has nothing to connect to anything that actually happened. I mean, you have these hardcore Star Wars fans that have to have everything connected. Yeah, I guess I'm sort of like that with like MCU stuff, but I'm a big comic book fan, and I realize how malleable that those whole universes are. But yeah, I mean, I was hearing some of that chatter, but to go back to what Hitch was saying about like the what you was talking about that plot twist with the lightsabers. I think that was The Ninth Jedi.
That was in the Ninth Jedi.
It was the Ninth Jedi. That was an excellent episode. That was an excellent episode.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
It had
the animation
the dad.
and
So
the dad. Yeah, I mean, that was a really great, a way of presenting the effects of how you are really in tune with your lightsaber, and how she had to grow into hers because hers was like faded. And then they talk about you have to really grow into for it to actually have that color and stuff. So I thought that was a pretty unique perspective that I would hope could be brought into main canon and everything.
I mean, that was always a thing though. The Jedi design, build their lightsabers so they would sort of imbue it with their personality and how they were feeling. But the idea that it would change as your personality changed, or as your emotions changed, it was really emotion driven, and that was the thing they had to control. It was interesting that they were red.
Yeah.
That goes against what we think of.
Right.
Like, if you see a red lightsaber come up, you run.
you just know.
Well, it's weird, and I'm sure Hitch can attest to this. In the EU and a lot of Star Wars lures, the kyber crystal was clear, and what happened is you're right, as they said, your crystal would evolve with your personality and you. That's how you got different colors, whether it be blue, whether it was green, whether you were unique enough to get a yellow, which is purple. The red lightsaber obviously would come if you were going to the dark side, but there were no colored kyber crystals. Literally, this was an expression of your personality, and that's how they viewed a lot of people. So I did like that take. Kind of more like we're saying expanded universe-ish. I think they wanted to go that right with the final sequel trilogy, but decided not to. Like I said, the big loop is when Rey pulls out the yellow lightsaber, which is like
Leia's.
Iconic at the end. I don't know how she got a yellow hilt. They thought I don't know, maybe orange, but whatever the case, yeah, that was unique. But no, I did like the take on the lightsaber. I think that was probably my highlight of the series, was that episode, because it was more towards EU / maybe traditional Star Wars, but I thought, which should be, you pick your kyber crystal and your crystal and your personality. I believe they did it on the video games too, and I just played the last one, which was at what was it called? The one with Cal Kestis.
So
the
Jedi Order.
Jedi. Yeah, Fallen Order. That's
Fallen
what it
Order.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
So
sorry.
they went down that same aspect of you choose your lightsaber, and then the crystal basically chooses its color based on your personality.
The lightsaber chooses you, so it's like Harry Potter in a wand. The wand has to choose the user.
I thought it was pretty interesting in a few of the episodes where you had that old Western type of culture with literally no technology, and then you sort of bring the Star Wars element in it. I mean, you got your lightsabers, but they made use of the droids, and sort of like other parts of the ship technology and stuff. I thought and they did it especially well, I guess, in like the duel, where you wouldn't expect that type of technology to be brought into that type of story, but they made it effective and they made it entertaining with like lights and beats and all that stuff. I thought that was pretty interesting and it was like that on a couple of them. They had one episode where I thought was pretty decent. Jabba the Hutt one, and he was about to kill the one.
The band?
Yeah, the band.
Tatooine Rhapsody.
Yeah. Tatooine Rhapsody.
That was an interesting because Lucas loved bands. He always loved to have music and bands in it, so they definitely probably got his attention with that one. He was probably like, "Oh yeah, I dig that." With the band, there was like the band, and they were going to perform for Jabba, and it was like the whole thing. That was interesting.
Yeah, they had Boba up in there.
Yeah.
Actually voiced by what was his name? Tamuri. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tamuri Morrison.
Yeah. So that was decent.
I enjoyed the Elder. I want to talk about the Elder because that was the Ninja Scrolly one.
Yeah.
The one where some weirdo's got a bunch of lightsabers. I just like that weird. Some weirdo comes out of nowhere with a lightsaber, and you got to kill him. That's a nice flavor as a Star Wars, in my opinion. The mysterious, turning into dust. I just thought it was cool. One of those really cool ones. Shows you what a real like peak Republic Jedi duo would have been like in action, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like seeing that. It was cool.
That, and towards the end of that episode, the guy was talking to his Padawan and everything, explaining him how the Jedi and how like the Force works and all that stuff. I thought he presented a really good explanation that had my kids actually just perking up and stuff. Really talking about some good life lessons. I mean, they brought that element of like, what Star Wars at the end of the day is about, just learning life lessons, learning about, how life is and, how you go about life. And I forget the way he was explaining it to, his Padawan, but it was really, he gave a good speech at the end of that particular, episode that I really liked.
Well, Star Wars is a great way to teach life values and how you should live and what the important things are, family, friendship, destroy the empire. These are all very important life lessons. Like know your side, know the side you're on, pick it and stick with it. Right? Don't flip flop.
Right.
No matter what, no matter how bad it gets, there's always a way. There's always a way to work through any challenge.
How about the Lob and Elcho episode? I think that was the second to the last one, where it was the sister. I mean, they were sort of sisters, but not really blood. But it was the one that sort of looked like a cat, and she was and the daughter was going against her dad. Her dad was with the old ways, and she had conflict with like the new ways and all that stuff. Really drove the point home of how you get so caught up into your beliefs that you just just split away from like your family and everything.
That didn't happen in the original Star Wars, did it? That wasn't even a thing, right?
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
not at all. But people just get like possessed with just so caught up in everything, and I love the succinct way that they told that story well in like 15 minutes. They told more majority of stories in like 15 minutes, but they told that split between like the whole family overall thing, and kept the theme of Star Wars right in there about how easily things just get split when the old ways versus new ways. Which way is better? She brought up her points about how the Empire is going to make the bring peace to the galaxy and make the things much easier, and you got to look at things like as a whole in the future and everything. And the pop was like, no, this is a bad thing. She just couldn't see it. She was just so caught up in her feelings and all that stuff, where she was she just could not see it. I thought that was a pretty effective. Short.
Mm-hmm.
Those rabbit people, though. It's designs, floppy ears.
Right. How
else would you know they're an alien? I mean, come on.
I meant to say, Hitch, how were your feelings on not getting a hand-drawn anime version of Jar Jar? I mean, we didn't. I'm glad they didn't go that route.
It's a missed opportunity. There's nothing I'd rather Jar Jar Binks show up in than a Ninja Scroll analog for sure. I just feel like he's the type of character that would mouth off one time too many in a Ninja Scroll. So I can always look forward to that, I guess.
He would look great. He would look great as an animated Japanese character. In fact, the first episode of the second season is called Return to Naboo.
It's all about how he keeps stepping in poop over and over.
And it's actually an hour and 30 minutes long.
Gungans.
Mm-hmm. It's just Gungans bumping into each other the whole time.
But there wasn't too much of that stuff, and I think that there was a good enough mix of the sort of more violent stories and the more I don't want to say childish stories, but the more simply drawn ones.
Yeah.
You know, TOBI, for instance, has like that sort of like the Mega Man aesthetic, which everybody, you know, I'm into because I'm a Mega Man speedrunner. You know, as everybody knows, I got the cred on that. But I like how they had the Dr. Light style Jedi, and I liked how, you know, the mission was to bring life to a planet that didn't have life, and how, you know, Toby was able to sort of continue that work after the death of his dad. I thought that was a really effective episode also because it really portrayed the Inquisitor as, you know, a super intimidating presence, right?
Cool
stuff. Yeah. Did you see the Disney Plus? They did like a hand drawn kind of poster for that episode where he looks like Astro Boy. It's sick. And then the Inquisitors in the background.
That was on Disney Plus.
They did it for they like released it somewhere. I've seen it. It's really sweet. I don't know if I can send it to the chat or not, but there was a poster for that episode. It's really, really, really nice.
You could tell that it'll probably be somewhere where we'll never ever see, but the more violent episodes where actually was, you know, blood was drawn in some of these, you know, some of the animation. Because even in like regular Star Wars, I mean, you get some really, you know, some crazy stuff that happens in like Bad Batch and like the Clone
There
Wars.
are some half cuttings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the angles of the body, like the torso, and would separate, just slide apart. I mean,
that's a Japanese animated trope, you know. So if you're used to,
you'd have several of them. You'd have like stacks, and then we slide apart like deli meat, you know, fall to pieces on the floor with really no blood, really.
Yeah, no blood. I mean, their mandate was no blood, you know, no blood, and you know, we got plenty of, you know, through the hearts and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, they're getting pretty.
Yeah, the one he ignited it through. He ignited. Who was that? It ignited it and went through the guy.
I think that was in the Elder.
Yeah. That's an all-time classic move.
Yeah,
they do that a lot in the EU, where it's like, I'll just turn it off, and they get off balance, and it just go. Wah! That's the end of the fight. That's laser. Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, there's something somewhere on someone's cutting room floor, the real stuff, you know, the stuff that you're not going to show on Disney Plus ever.
Right.
In Japanese cartoons, it's always something like, here's my impression of someone who got cut in half in a Japanese cartoon. You ready?
It was definitely a lot of tropes, you know. I don't know. I'm particular about my Japanese animation because I've been so spoiled by like Akira. I don't know if you guys seen that back in the day, back in the 80s, but that has to be one of the best animated shows I've ever seen.
The White Lion, Akira?
Like the movie Akira.
Akira. Oh yeah. Akira. Okay.
Yeah.
You know they made that Kaneda bike. That Kaneda bike's like a real bike now.
Oh, seriously?
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. The smoothest animation, and the thing with Japanese animation is you got like a lot of just talking and no, you know, actual movement of any part of the body and everything, but you got like the mouths moving. You know, Akira had it just naturally flowed with like any part of the body, things in the background. There was like, you know, a lot of detail and everything. I would hope if they do another season, they would do a lot more of that, you know, to keep it, you know, a lot more detailed. I mean, animation it takes a long time and it costs like a lot of money to do it right, to do it correctly and stuff. But Disney, being Disney, they had the funds to do this. So if hopefully this does do great enough to where, you know, they could put a little bit more money to present, you know, some more of these stories. And I mean, I guess to those who find these things just, you know, non sequitur, like, you know, we don't really, I appreciate the fact that any of this is even being tried, you know. Right. Everything doesn't have to be canon, you know. If it is canon, you know, you can still tell so many stories in so many different ways about this subject and, you know, in this universe, and have just so many different angles that you can come from because people just love it so much.
Yeah, dude. They could do Star Wars in claymation.
They probably have.
They could do a whole thing with a whole different storyline and timeline in like Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer claymation, and it would just knock everyone's socks off. I mean, I think everyone would watch it. I mean, this just goes to show how popular and how
widespread. Yeah,
widespread. I mean, they could do anything they want with it. I mean, they this Visions just describes that. They went back to, 70s, 80s cartoon style. And in technology, I mean, I'm sure they dumbed it down to make it look that gritty, right? I mean, they have to go back to old school, like one guy there with doing frame. Frame.
None of it is CG. Like what we seeing in like Clones and Bad Batch is more CG, related. None of this is all hand drawn type stuff. Probably some computer animated to help it along and everything. But for the most part, you got a lot of dozens of artists working on this stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and you look at the end, like you watch the credits, and you see all these artists, all these drawers and pencilers and colorers and all this. I mean, this was like legit. Like they went back and really got to the the basics of cartooning, and made these things authentic. Nothing's streamlined and polished like the Bad Batch was.
Yeah. And was able to carry some good thematic stories out of it. Pretty much every story had some really good stuff that you could take away from it and everything. So
and the music, and them
for sure.
Dropping all the lines in there. I mean, they used everything. They used all the famous quotes, all the little one-liners that we love, just to make us connect with it.
I'm hoping that with these future Star Wars shows that we're getting on, like especially Ahsoka. I'm looking the last episode reminded me of the scene where in the Mandalorian where we got Ahsoka and who was that she was going against, and when they were doing like the lightsaber battle and everything, it was sort of like
the governor.
Yeah, sort of like reminded me of that. I hope we get a lot more of those type of duels, for I guess whoever wields a lightsaber, especially on the Ahsoka show, because I mean, for the most part, she's a Jedi. Besides Obi-Wan, who's getting the show. Hopefully, we just get some more dope Jedi fights.
Right. It'll definitely be interesting. I mean, as they, like you said, as they alluded to, Thrawn seems to be her main protagonist, but Thrawn never really used weapons, and he really didn't get into visible contact. So I'll be interested to see if they go the Thrawn route, which they alluded to the character, so we'll see him at some point. If he actually is in the flesh for physical battle, I mean, that'll be super unique, because Thrawn's basically...
story is there behind him? Like, do we know a lot about him?
He's more of the books, not the EU story. Yep. So there's different novels and they've different takes, but he basically is a super intelligent, not really humanoid, but a super intelligent species that
they are called the Chiss.
Basically has battle meditation that is not like it's basically just an innate ability that they have, that they can just super intuitive in battle and super intelligent into war, microanalytics, things like that.
He's like a Romulan, right?
They're from this ice planet, and their thing is like a preternatural understanding of strategic thought. And so, like, what Thrawn can do is Thrawn can always see the best possible thing to do if he understands you. Because that's what Thrawn can do. Thrawn can put himself in your shoes and figure out how you're going to have everything set up. So he knows exactly what to do to beat you.
How to beat you, yeah.
Right. He's sort of like Alexander the Great in that way. He's not like the Emperor, because the Emperor controls, is sort of like, acts like a hive mind almost, is what battle meditation is. And controls everybody at once, right? So it's like trying to fight one fist instead of a bunch of individual pieces. But Thrawn just shows up and gets the drop on you every time because he's Thrawn. So it's a little different.
Interesting.
I know lots of random crap about the Chiss. It's not fun to go into. I'm not gonna there's a whole detour in New Jedi Order where they had to go to his homeworld for whatever reason, and they had to like use an archive, and they were like, and it was like describing an actual library, and I was like, this is a boring Star Wars story, talking about an actual library with real paper books, right? No, thank you. So anyway, not all the EU is perfect, right?
Yeah, I'll say that for sure.
Some of it wasn't great. Some of it. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I mean,
like I said, I mean, it was overall, like I said, I give it a a good 7-8, a good 8, I should say, a solid 8, out of 10 for, my enjoyment of it.
I'm close. I'll give it a 7.5. I'm in between a 7 and an 8. It teeters there. Um, I appreciate what they did. I appreciate the concept. And like I said, if you go on and see some of the actual episode artwork they've done and posters for it, it does give you that vibe. So I mean, I can see what they did, and I appreciate it. I like it.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8 because, I mean, I was engaged, and I like to see new stuff. I like to see new stories, and anything. At this point, now that we've all gotten through Clone Wars, and I got over that stigma that this is a cartoon, I'm really open to whatever
Yeah,
they
yeah,
want to show me.
yeah.
I'm good. I mean,
Give me more.
I like the vibe. Yep, that's right. I like the vehicle that they're driving right now. I think it's at a good pace, and I think it's got the right features on it. So I think it's it's a good fit for me. So I'd say if you're a Star Wars fan and you like animation, you definitely should watch Visions. Like, for real.
If you're a Star Wars fan, period, go watch it.
Yeah, you just do it. Get Disney Plus and suck it up. Suck
Not
it
that
up.
much yet. They haven't doubled it a couple times yet, so that's monopolistic behavior. We'll see what they do. For me, this is an inconsistent set for me, and I think that it's probably my preference more than anything else. There are some of these episodes that resonate really heavily with me. The duel specifically because of its the black and white aesthetic with the red lightsabers, the lightsaber color. Really, really cool way to do that. Really dug how it sort of had that Rurouni Kenshin vibe.
Yeah.
But Tosai the Manslayer, right? Don't challenge him; it's a bad idea. And then there were some that were a little, for me. Tatooine Rhapsody, even though Boba Fett was in it, sort of a meh for me. So for me, it's a 7, but it's more of a. There are some peaks and valleys. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the ones that really hit, I think, really, really, really hit. And the one thing about the many different approaches tells me that this sort of variety of, flavor works in Star Wars and can be applied multiple different ways. If they decide to do an Old Republic series, but do it all in anime, it would be cool, right? We'd be like, that's cool. It's a neat stylistic choice if they did it in one of these styles, right? If this is what they were looking to do. It definitely proves to me that really important link between George Lucas and the Japanese cinema of the 50s and how he really took a lot of the elements of that, the honorable swordsman, the hidden location, the warlord, even the samurai look and the sword fighting. A lot of this was stuff that he saw in those films, and this is an excellent homage, and I think that it really echoes, Star Wars really well because this is a hunk of Star Wars soul is these movies, right? Is this ninja, this samurai movies, and so you can see a lot of different angles, or you can approach it from a lot of different ways, and it'll resonate. So I really appreciated that here in the Vision episodes. We got to see some cool stuff. We actually got to see a Jedi fall. Awesome to see that, right? What if Luke had been like, okay, I guess, Okay. So there's some cool stuff here. I would definitely say my interest now would be to see something longer form than maybe 15 minutes. I would want to see maybe like I said, a series set in a different time period that took advantage of the difference that the Japanese aesthetic would bring. And I think that could be something that would really be gangbusters. I hope they do it. They do a lot of stuff I say before I say it. It's weird, right? Like they already thought of it. Anyway.
I mean, I guess my final take on it is, and I just thought about it, it would be a reach, but me being a massive anime fan, how cool would it to see, because we've already seen it, for them to take a Gundam approach to Star Wars, because the Gundams already have lightsabers. I don't know how it will be delivered essentially, but I mean, essentially, like you've watched Gundam Wing or some of the series, it basically is kind of a Jedi kind of Sith thing. But I wonder if they would take it into the kind of Gundam style. I mean, mech, if you will, however you want to call it. I mean, that would be an interesting take on Star Wars if they went that way.
Jedi fighting robots.
I mean,
well,
basically,
augmentation,
that's
right?
not.
You're not fighting robots. Oh, I could see that.
In a big suit.
I mean, a lot of the Gundams that was a theming though. You know, their swords were lightsabers, essentially laser swords. So, I mean, you would just have to translate into Star Wars. But I mean, based on like we said, the era we're in, as far as different styles, I'd like to see if somebody would be bold enough to try maybe a Gundam, a mech suit type episode. That would be something different to see. So maybe
the Pacific Rim movies. What are those called? Like, what are those?
The Jaegers, yeah, which are basically like a real life. It's like a Gundam wing, or like I said, a Gundam kind of.
But on Earth,
not
launched off an aircraft carrier in outer space. You see, like the Gundams. But remember, Star Wars. We've discussed this here. Star Wars is effectively infinite by the fourth dimension. Meaning you can just go 5,000 years before and say there was an era where the Jedi got into these bigger and bigger and bigger exoskeletons until they realized it didn't work, and then it came back down, right? Just like how exactly. So they can just do that and make the story, because there's no need when we're talking about, and this is what's so nice about being off the beaten path. There's no need for them to address anything that happens in quote canon that we've already seen, right? There's no need. They don't have to. They can just use the concepts that are already there and look at them in a different way, and give us some interesting stories that don't feel like they've been recycled out of the original trilogy. And I don't think that any of these really feel
none of these do. None of them at all. No. Not at all. Yeah. I mean, the closest one is sort of here maybe to have been the band episode, if you count any of that. That was more that was more took place, felt like in universe than any of these.
Man, there's some cool. There's definitely still some cool, like there's definitely some cool stuff, like there's some crazy epic battle movies like in like Ran and in Seven Samurai that they could really, I think, take that Japanese cinematic spin and make some really interesting content still. I just feel like this is a really promising avenue for them to explore, and I hope that they get some more opportunities to do it in the near future.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Well, this is
I just uploaded that photo. If you guys want to click on it and check it out, of the poster. I'm actually trying to find it on the internet because I want it like really bad in the worst way.
You able to share your you share your screen?
I can. I'd add it to the chat as well.
Hold on, guys. I got this. Don't.
Let the DJ handle it.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
I want that like in the worst way.
All right,
like
I'm
in the
gonna
worst
drop this
way.
off.
I want that poster. I gotta find it somehow, some way, but I need to add that to the wall somewhere.
There you go. Yeah. All right. There. I flashed it up there. Sorry, guys. Whew.
But yeah, guys, as we get back into next week, we're gonna resume back to Rebels, right? Season 2, part 2.
Yeah. So will we leave? We 8, or are we going to do 8 to Is it 22 episodes this season?
I think I have to pull it up. Not sure, but I think we were going to do 8 to 14 or something like that.
8 to 14, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm anxious to get back into Rebels too.
Man, it's like I said, wait, as we pick up pace. I mean, this show really, like I said, it started off a little slower. There aren't too many filler episodes. There's a few here and there, but I mean, it really, as we get towards the back end of it, it really gets going. Really interesting perspective of the Force, which is it was weird because when this came out, it really ties back into your thoughts basically on what how you would view kind of a Jedi and the Force and even with the Mandalorian. This is really as we get to the backside because they just finished. It came back last year. You'll
Mhm.
really see Filoni's influence on Star Wars and where it's headed, where it was heading. So yeah, really interesting as we get back into Rebels here. Kind of brings things back into perspective for everybody.
Yeah, can't wait.
Um, But yeah, guys, like I said, once again, I like everybody coming on the stream today. Definitely speaking about something completely different for us. We all kind of watched and learned together, which is cool. The community is taking, and as we see, Star Wars is continually growing. They're going down the anime route, whether it be traditional, whether it be modern, whether it be classic. Um, so as we see, they're not slowing down. Um, and that's good for us. That's good for our fans. Hopefully, this will touch different cultures, different avenues, and it gives us more things to discuss as what we call the show BS, Carbonite Bounty BS. We're just here to talk about all things Star Wars. So I appreciate Disney Plus. I appreciate Lucas Arts. The studios for giving us different ways because
We
you got,
appreciate that Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, just
I,
lower your ticket price, lower your entrance fees a little
I
bit.
mean, yeah, I
Come
mean,
on,
yeah.
Disney, what's
We, we,
up?
can get, we can get into that real quick before we hop off here. But
Yeah.
yeah, so for those who don't know, this week Disney has officially launched their, we'll say, pilot offer for Galaxy's Edge. So first flight will take off March 1st. And as we see, if you go onto the website, pricing went up a little bit. Still very vague on it. They don't give you actual pricing, but I mean, for 2 days, you're looking at 6 grand. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're going to a
You,
galaxy far, far away. I mean, I'm saying it's going to cost you.
yeah, and
uh,
you gotta open up a Disney bank account, I think. So
I mean, it's pushing it for me. I'll give you guys that. It's really pushing it. I mean,
Six
the
bills.
thing that really drives me away from it is like, I get the experience. Okay, so you don't get a costume, you have to buy your own costume. So everybody who you see dressed up there went in and bought an authentic Star Wars because you'll see them there. I mean, it's their first kind of foray into letting people wear costumes into Disney, as you're not allowed to wear costumes like you would at Harry Potter or Universal. So it's their first kind of drip inkling into you allowing to wear costumes. So the fact that they don't give you a costume there was like a little bit of a turn off. Um, you only get a ticket to Galaxy's Edge, so you can't park hop for your next day after, which is your last day when you leave. Or there's no voucher for like, what would it kill them to give you a $200 voucher for a 1 day back to a park or on that last day when you left? The park hopper, even though you can't really park hop anymore, it's looking like you're only allowed to go to one park. And with the 50th anniversary celebration going, the crazy thing is, and this is what's going to really overpopulate the Magic Kingdom, you can't even park hop to that park. I think your last entrance in the Magic Kingdom is 4 o'clock. So
Mm.
from 4 to that new, because they have a brand new evening spectacle, their fireworks show. So from 4 to 9 when the fireworks go off,
I'll,
that's 4 o'clock is the last time you can enter the park. So
I'll stream that live on Facebook for you guys. So
yeah,
I'll be there in
Maybe we'll get it.
the week of the 16th.
yeah.
I'll be there. So
Oh, you will? When are you leaving, Ken? Is the 16th the day you
leaving
leave?
on the that Monday, whatever that is. Hang on a second. I have to look at my Disney itinerary.
The 18th you leave?
Yeah, the 18th.
See, that's when
Come
I
back on
land.
the 21st.
Oh, you land on the 18th?
Yeah, we'll be there on the 18th.
I'll text you. I'll be there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
I land on we land on the evening of the 18th,
Oh yeah,
and we'll
yeah.
be there till the next following week. So
You guys are live streaming from there. That's awesome.
The Carbonite Bounty BS crew, partially in Florida.
Yeah.
How about, cool. We'll hook up. We could do. I don't know. Let's see, I have to see what the itinerary is. My wife put the whole thing together, so maybe we could do a show. We could do a back at the hotel. We could do a.
That'll be something fun.
I'll bring my Mac.
There we go. There we go. Got the plan together.
We do. So so some interesting things it sounds like for the channel, everybody. But once again, thanks for this week's episode, and until next week, guys, this is the way.
This is the way.
It's the way.